So with this triad exercise, just a reminder, we can now live in the complex number system. In other words, we can take the square root of negative numbers, and we will get an actual solution, not just no real no real solution. We will solve in the complex number system. We still use the square root property, and we also just use the properties of complex numbers. So again, just to refresh your memory, what that means is that I equals the square root of -1, which also means that I squared equals -1. Everything else as far as properties are concerned for now remains the same. So we have 3r plus 4, quantity being squared, equals -8. We'll take the square root of both sides. Remember to take the plus or minus on the right-hand side. Square root of 3r plus 4 squared is just 3r plus 4. And that equals plus or minus the square root of 8. Well, that's the same thing as plus or minus the square root of -1 times 8, which is the square root of -1 times the square root of 8. Square root of -1 is just I. So we have the square root of 8 times I. Subtracting 4 from both sides, we get 3r equals -4 plus or minus, let's go ahead and simplify this. 8 is 2 times the square root of 2. We still have I. Now the division property of equality will divide both sides by 3. We get r equals -4/3 plus or minus 2 times the square root of 2 I, or 2 times the square root of 2 divided by 3 times I. You could leave the I in the numerator as well. So this means that r equals -4/3 minus 2 times the square root of 2 over 3i, or r equals -4/3 plus 2 times the square root of 2 over 3i. As always, we will check our solution by substituting into the original equation. So we have 3 times -4/3 minus 2 times the square root of 2 over 3i plus 4 squared equals, does it equal -8? So this looks like a complicated mess, but if we multiply through by 3 into the parentheses, we end up getting -4 minus 2 times the square root of 2i plus 4 being squared. Again, does that equal -8? -4 plus 4 is 0, so -2 squared is 4. Square root of 2 squared is 2. I squared is -1. Does it equal -8? It does, because 4 times 2 is 8 times -1 equals -8. So that solution checks. Now, if you'll notice the difference, well, when we substitute the positive, everything's going to be the same other than we end up with, in the second step, plus 2 times the square root of 2i. So in other words, it will be -4 plus 2 times the square root of 2i plus 4 squared. Does that equal -8? The next step is going to be exactly the same. -4 plus 4 is 0, so 2 squared is 4. Square root of 2 squared is 2. I squared is -1. We end up with 4 times 2 times -1, which again is -8. So our solution checks. When 3r plus 4 squared equals -8, r is going to equal -4/3 plus or minus 2 times the square root of 2 divided by 3i.